Hello, everyone. I am Otelia Teuton, and this is our last session of Managing Anxiety Naturally from Contra Costa Health Plan. It's so great to have so many of you back week after week, or I should say for the last 2 weeks, because we did 2 sessions a week. So I'm so excited to have you guys here. Just as a reminder, if you are on your phone, I see someone on the phone, either email me your name or you can unmute yourself and just give us your name because we want to make sure we enter you in the raffle. And I see a 707 phone number. So if that's you, please either email me your name or come off of mute and just tell us your name. And if you are on the phone and you don't know how to use Zoom, you can go to your email and just click on that link and it takes you to an app that you open and you can see us. But if you're not able to do that, the phone works as well. So thank you, everyone. Let me look at the chat. So I appreciate some of you guys emailing me, and I asked 2 questions about some of your triggers. What is your biggest difficulty or trigger with anxiety, and what are your barriers or challenges to feeling better? So if you, we're going to get to those momentarily. So let's get started. Great. And also, if your full name is not showing on the Zoom, please put your name in the chat to make sure that we have your full name so we can enter your name in the drawing. So thank you, everyone who did that. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to start the presentation. Here we go. So first we're going to talk about some of the hacks. And I've been excited to share these with you. Now, some of these we've mentioned in the previous sessions, but I really wanted to focus on what things make the biggest difference in people feeling better with anxiety. And these are also things that I have done myself. So I can speak from experience that they work amazing. So the first one is trying color therapy. So I don't know if any of you have read about this or studied about color therapy, but a few years ago, maybe like 20 years ago, when I was going through a very stressful time in my life, I was seeing this amazing therapist, and she asked me this odd question. She said, I'm going to give you some homework. She said, I want you to go home and look in your closet, and I want you to notice the colors of the clothes that you're wearing the most. So I thought, okay, that's really odd. So I go home, I look in my closet, pretty much everything I was wearing daily, it was black, gray, or brown. Those were my colors. And it at that time in my life, I had a lot of anxiety. I had depression. I had twin little babies. I was very, very stressed. I was trying to kind of do it all, work full time, raise a family, and I was not taking care of my health very well. So then I go back and I tell the therapist, and she said, well, I want you to realize that the colors of the clothing we wear can really affect our health. And I thought, really? So she asked me to to go out and look in my closet if I have some colorful clothes that I could put on, or I should go shopping. So that really opened my eyes to how important the clothes, the colors I was wearing had on my mood. So for example, if you look up color therapy, actually I'm going to put an article that I was just looking at earlier today in a chat, because it was really simple and kind of cool. So let me add that to the chat. Okay. If I can find a chat. When I'm in presentation mode, sometimes it doesn't work so well. So let me stop sharing. And then I'll put it in a chat. There we go. There we go. It's from Well Mind. So then I'll go back the presentation. So if you want to follow along, or I can just read from the slides. So for example, the blue and the green color they're very good for easing stress. And yellow and blue is also very good for pain, which I thought was really neat, because my husband and I just bought a little massager, and it has the red color and the blue color. So I thought, oh, how cool that they added the color to the massager. So yellow enhances mood, red energizes us. And I think there was something else for orange, which I thought was cool. Like makes you happy or something like that also. So try this out. You know, what I do these days is I go in my closet in the morning and I think, what color do I feel like wearing? And whatever I'm drawn to, whatever I feel like that day, I just grab. So try that out. And some companies even made colored glasses that you can wear different glasses to have the benefits of enhancing your mood. So like if you're feeling down or if you're feeling really stressed, you know, they have these glasses in different colors that you can get and you can wear them. So that's an option too. Second hack, avoid foods with gluten. So this is something I talked in previous session about, that for me, anxiety has improved tremendously just cutting out gluten. And it wasn't like immediate, but it creates an environment in our, gluten creates an environment in our intestines that is friendly for pathogens to thrive. So we can get parasites to grow easier, we can get bacteria, fungus. So the environment in our intestines becomes very acidic, and then it's easier for them to grow. Gluten also depletes us of minerals, and people who have anxiety, they burn through their minerals really fast because they're feeling stressed a lot and they're in that fight or flight response. So that's another thing that gluten does. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you're allergic to gluten, but it has these other negative effects that robs us of the absorption of other good minerals that our body needs to stay calm. And then also avoiding folic acid and anything enriched. So like if you look on some of the ingredients of foods that you buy, especially like breads, or folic acid can even be in vitamins. Now, folate is a natural form. So folic acid is actually a B vitamin, So folate is a natural source that comes from food. So folate is good, but folic acid is synthetic. And then anything that says enriched, it's enriched with folic acid as well. So why is folic acid a problem? Well, what I found out is that there's a genetic mutation called MTHFR, and MTHFR is short for a very long name of an enzyme that if you have this genetic mutation, that means that your body cannot process folic acid. For you, it's like poison. So people that have this mutation will get anxiety, and they will just feel really tired. They'll feel very anxious. It causes hormonal imbalances. People that have this also are more at risk for other chronic diseases like autoimmune conditions and things like that. So I only found out about 6-7 years ago that I have this mutation, and I only have it from one parent. If you have it from both parents, it's worse. So for many years, I had vitamins with folic acid and enriched foods, and I didn't know that they were part of what causes me anxiety. So to find out if you have this mutation, it is a simple blood test, but many doctors are not used to running them. Like when I asked my doctor to run it, she had to look it up because she said she's never heard of it. But you can also order it yourself online. There are companies that have saliva tests for genetic mutations, and you can search online if you don't want to go through your doctor, but it might be helpful to talk to your doctor about it. So that is something that has made a big difference for me, just knowing that I have that genetic mutation. The other thing that happens with people that have this, our bodies do not detoxify as well as people that don't have this. So by lacking this enzyme, my body is about 35 to 40% blocked from detoxing normally. So I have to do extra things to detox my body. You know, like I talked about, I take liquid chlorophyll daily. I do Zumba, exercise really helps. I do rebounding. I bounce on a mini trampoline. So there are things that we can do, and there's lots of information online about it to educate yourself more if you think you might have it. The other thing is drinking pure water. So many people don't realize that we can get sometimes pathogens from water. And I know I moved in the last few months in the same city. I live in Pleasant Hill. I moved from one house to a different house, and it was a different water district. The house that I moved to, I bought a tester because I kept getting headaches, and I thought, this is so weird. I have a filter, I have a good filter, and the water just tasted weird. So I bought a TDS tester on Amazon, and I tested the water, and there was a big difference in how many particles were in this in the water at this house versus my other house. So I had to buy a different filter. A filter that I use, I really like a company called Express Water. They have a reverse osmosis filter that also puts oxygen in the water. It puts minerals, and it makes the water alkaline, and it's very affordable. They have many options of very affordable filters. So that's the company I like. Also, it's important to if you're using a water bottle, avoid plastic, because plastics have a lot of chemicals. So using glass or stainless steel bottles are good. Also, if you know of a natural spring, like when I go on vacation to like Calistoga area or to Mount Shasta, I know of natural springs where I can go and get water, and I love doing that. You know, I'll take a big jug and I'll fill it up. So water from natural springs is really good. And then the next item is, I would strongly encourage you guys to read about Candida overgrowth. This is a website that I use a lot, the candidadiet.com. It's really simple. It has lots of recipes, but it gives you a list of foods to avoid and foods to eat. So, and it gives you information to learn what are the symptoms of Candida overgrowth, like forgetfulness, feeling tired, having skin irritations, feeling irritated easily, feeling bloated after you're eating, maybe you have IBS. So those can be some of the symptoms, but there's a lot more of them. Some people can get, some women might get yeast infections, or if you look at your tongue might be really white. So those things can be related to Candida overgrowth. And sometimes for some people, it doesn't have to be really bad where you're getting an infection, but you might be more sensitive, especially if you have certain genetic mutations. So for me, I have to really avoid sugar because I feel the Candida growing very, very fast. Like I will feel itching on my skin. And I know for me that has to do with Candida. So, so what I do is I do like a cleanse, and I eat, I follow the Candida diet for 6 weeks. I do it once or twice a year, just cutting out like anything with yeast, and eating even fruit that is low sugar, and kind of following the recommendations they have on the website. So that's something, if you think that that's something you might have from what I described, read about it more. The other thing is, the next one is decreasing inflammatory vegetable oils. So I talked about this the first session, but this is so huge. People do not realize how inflammatory oils can be, especially if you already have anxiety. If you have anxiety, you're already very inflamed, and especially your digestive system is inflamed, because our gut and our brain are always connected. So especially oils such as soy, corn, canola, sunflower, safflower, cooking with vegetable broth, that's what I do. And it's really made a big difference. The other thing people might feel when they're inflamed, they might feel pain in their joints, or they might feel pains in their muscles. So that's a sign of inflammation. So cutting down on the oils. And then if you do use a little bit of oil, maybe for a recipe, or you're cooking something that just needs a little bit, coconut oil and avocado oil are great for high heat. And then if you have a salad, I switched to just having like lemon juice or apple cider vinegar on my salad. But if you want a little bit of oil, olive oil is wonderful on salad, but just a small amount, like a tablespoon, So decreasing sugar. There's so many hidden sugars. Years ago, when I was very sick, I used to buy already made salads because I was a busy mom, and I was like, oh, I don't have time to make my lunches. I don't want to always go out to eat. So I would buy all these salads, and I thought I was eating really healthy. Well, salad dressings have so many hidden sugars. I could not believe when I started to add the sugar grams of the different foods I was eating, that there was sugar in salad dressing. There's sugar in yogurt. If you buy fat-free or low-fat yogurt or cottage cheese, it has more grams of sugar. So they take the fat and they put the sugar in, which is not good. I rather have a little bit of fat and not have the sugar. So healthier options are monk fruit sugar. Those are very low glycemic index. Actually, monk fruit has 0 glycemic index, and glycemic index means that you eat the food. So the way they measure it is they test people's blood sugar. How fast does your blood sugar go up after you eat that food? So sugar is 80 or 88, something like that. Monk fruit is 0. Xylitol is 7. And then stevia, I don't know if I looked that one up, but it's either under 5 or 0. So those are alternative options if you were gonna have a little bit. And then, you know, a little bit of honey is okay once in a while, especially if you're like doing something like baking a special dessert or something like that, but you only want to use a little bit. Drinking bone broth regularly. This is something that it's so healing for the intestines. So remember how I said that many people that have anxiety also have a correlation with digestive issues or inflammation in the digestive system. Even though you might not have symptoms, if you have anxiety, you have some level of inflammation in the intestines. And drinking bone broth regularly or cooking with it can be so, so healing for the intestines. So bone broth is not the same as chicken broth. So if you buy chicken broth, they probably cook it for like an hour. If you buy bone broth, they will cook the bones and some vegetables together with it for 24 to 48 hours. So all the minerals and the collagen from the bones get into the broth. And what I do is I will warm it up like a tea, and then I add some seasonings to it, maybe like a little bit of garlic salt or garlic powder, or, you know, different seasoning that I like, because it kind of tastes very bland. So if you add a little bit of seasonings, it can be a lot more delicious. And then you can also add it to soups. Like if I make a soup, you know, I'll put one carton of bone broth and then the rest water. So that's another. And people that, especially if you know you have digestive issues, I recommend that people have like 1 to 3 cups a day for like maybe a month or so, you know, to get significant improvement. I know when, and even like when you have a cold, you know, when we're sick and our mom used to give us chicken soup, that's for a reason, because it really helps. So, so even if you're sick, it's a wonderful thing to drink to help the immune system. So what the bone broth does, it actually heals the lining of the intestines, because people that have inflammation in the intestines, the lining of the intestines are very, they can become like loose, and we want them to be really tight. So that is very beneficial. Now, the next, I will get to the chat very soon. So I want to get through those, and then I'm going to get to the chat. Try eating earthing mat, not eating. So I talked about earthing last week. So earthing can be done through using an earthing mat, a grounding sheet, or placing your feet on the earth. So that has made a huge difference in my life. I think I shared last time that once I started using an earthing sheet that I was sleeping on, a fitted sheet that I bought on groundingofficial.com. Once I started using that, my back no longer hurt. I no longer had, when my cycle came, I no longer had cramps. My anxiety improved. I didn't have joint issues anymore. I used to get joint pain a lot. My hormones balanced. So it's really, really beneficial. But if you don't want to invest in sheets or a mat, they even have these wristbands that you can put on, or patches. Just put your feet on the earth or the grass for 30 minutes a day. Decreasing chemicals in food, household, dishes, your dishes, and personal products. This is another huge, huge, huge one. There's so many chemicals. For example, if you're eating grains that are grown in the United States, unless they are organic, they are soaked in Roundup or glyphosate, which is a chemical that they use for weeds. And they soak the grains in this Roundup because it's easier to harvest. So if you're going to eat grains, if you can buy organic, I know now more stores have organic, like Costco has so many options that are not so expensive anymore. There's a Thrive Market that you can have a membership online that's a lot more affordable. So if I'm going to use a grain, I use only organic, like oatmeal, corn. If I'm going to use anything that is a grain, you know, I will get organic. So let's see here. Then household items, for example, like cleaning things that you clean your house with. Even things that you put in your dryer, like the dryer sheets and the softeners, they are very, very disruptive for our hormones and our immune system, especially if your skin itches, you know, avoiding using those. Now they have these wool balls that you can buy. They're like little white balls. They're like made out of wool, and you can put those in the dryer, and you can even put some essential oils on them. Like I love putting some lavender or lemon oil to give it a nice smell. But I just got rid of the dryer sheets years ago and the softeners. And these wool balls will make your towels and your clothes soft without the chemicals. They have them like at Trader Joe's and even at Target, I believe I've seen them. So, and then switching to cleaning products that are all natural. Like I use 7th generation. Instead of Comet powder, I use something called Bon Ami, which I buy from Sprouts, I think. But even like if you go to Walmart and Target, they have a whole section of natural cleaning, and you can even make your own. You can look up online for how to make your own cleaning supplies at home. That's really cheap. Just avoiding the chemicals, especially if you have allergies. People that have allergies or skin issues, they're very sensitive to chemicals. So I would strongly suggest to switch to natural options. Also the dishes we cook in, like avoiding dishes that are aluminum or Teflon. They're very toxic. So the ones that I like, stainless steel are healthier, cast iron, and then if they're coated, like white inside, or you know, you might see cast iron that are like coated, and those are good too. But avoiding especially the aluminum. Now they started making these new skillets that they say they're coated with ceramic, and ceramic is healthy, but what they don't tell you is that there's aluminum in the middle. So the ceramic wears off in about a year, and the aluminum starts to leak in to the food. So unless it's without aluminum, like I believe I found one that had another metal that is not bad for you. I forget. So if it's stainless steel or titanium inside, those are good stable metals, but not the aluminum. And then personal products, things that you put on your body, creams, shampoos, soaps, they're all very, very disruptive to the hormones. And I know many of you put in the chat that your anxiety is connected to hormones. So switching to natural products makes a big difference, because everything kind of adds up. And anxiety can also be from just the body being overwhelmed with so many toxins that are not able to be released. So our organs get over, our poor liver and kidneys, you know, those are the organs and lymphatic system that eliminates the toxins. They get so overwhelmed because we put toxins, we get them from so many different places. Even like personal products for women, like tampons and pads, it's so important to switch to organic because they have a chemical called dioxin, which can cause a lot of different health issues. So we kind of live in a chemical soup, right? So we have to make as much as we can, you know, choices that are more natural. And then I already talked about some supplements in the first session, but the key is to find the supplements that work for you, the right combination, and trying different things will help you. So for me, the things that are a must for me to stay calm and to really not get anxiety symptoms anymore is magnesium threonate. I mentioned that I switched to this one, and it's really, really beneficial because it calms down the brain. And I'm kind of an overthinker. I'm always thinking of the next thing and the next thing. So it really slows down my brain and it keeps me calm. The other thing is vitamin D3 with K2. I already mentioned that I take the liquid drops from Thorne. That's the brand, Thorne. They make liquid drops, D3 with K2, or another brand is Live Wise. So you can search online. B complex is also, now I no longer take B complex because I take a really good multivitamin that has a lot of Bs. I take a liquid multivitamin called Intra Max. It's the best one I found out there, but another good one is a website called seekinghealth.com. They make really good multivitamins also that are methylated. What I mean by methylated is I talked about how the B vitamins should be natural, not synthetic. So seekinghealth.com and also this Intramax liquid vitamin, they have, if you look on the back where it says B12, it will say methylcobalamin. It will not say cobalamin or cyanocobalamin. It should say methylcobalamin. That's what it means when I say methylated B12. It's a natural source. Omega-3s, I don't take those now, but I used to. I eat a lot of fish 2-3 times a week. So if you don't eat a lot of fish, omega-3s might be really good for you. GABA is another one that's very calming that I've taken in the past. 5-HTP. I use the one from Nature's Sunshine, and I only take 1 capsule in the morning, and it really, really helpful for me. And it also helps me with my sleep, even though I take it in the morning. I have a family member who's a psychologist. So I talked to him about some of the best products that he's found with anxiety. And he told me about this product called Anxie-T. So ANXIE-T. And I go on Amazon and you can just search anxiety tea and it will come up as well, but it's actually called Anxie-T, ANXIE and then -T. It's the company that makes it is Life Seasons, and it has a really good combination of different B vitamins and has some magnesium and some calming herbs. He said that that one in combination with 5-HTP and magnesium has made just wonders for his patients. So, so look that up if you're interested in trying it out. Probiotics. Now we can get probiotics from food like yogurt and fermented vegetables, but you can also buy probiotic capsules. And I take them at night. It's better to take them at night because you don't want them to compete with food. They're live bacteria that support the digestive system, and it's better to take them without food. And then digestive enzymes. I've taken digestive enzymes probably now for 15 to 20 years because I don't digest my food very well, and anxiety is connected to digestion. So I buy most of my food from good quality sources, and I want to make sure that I absorb what I'm eating. So for me, digestive enzymes really helps me to digest the food and assimilate and absorb it well. And that's really important. And also chewing our food really well. I'm kind of a fast eater. I'm not good at like sitting there and chewing 30 times. So that's another reason I take digestive enzymes, because I'm not always chewing slowly like I should. And then lastly here is eating 3 Brazil nuts a day. Many people with anxiety are also deficient in some mineral called selenium. This is a mineral, and it's also an antioxidant. It's a very important mineral for staying calm, for our thyroid to function properly. and our immune system to stay strong. So a lot of people don't know what Brazil nuts look like. So here's a package. All we need is 3 a day. This is not a nut that you should like have a whole handful, because we only need 3 a day, and 3 a day has 200 micrograms of selenium. And that is very, very good also for cancer prevention. And it has other minerals in there, like a little bit of magnesium and other things, but specifically for selenium is one of the best sources that I know. Aloe vera juice. If people have digestive issues, especially like some acid reflux, or you just know that your body has a lot of inflammation, whole leaf organic aloe vera juice can be very, very healing. You don't want to take it ongoing, but doing it for like 1 or 2 months, what I do is take 2 ounces. It's kind of bitter and you don't want to drink it straight. You want to mix it in half a glass of water. So I buy the Lily of the Valley brand from, they have it at Whole Foods, they have it at Sprouts, you can buy it online. It's called Lily of the Valley, and it's whole leaf organic aloe vera juice. I take 2 ounces in half a glass of water. I mix it with my liquid chlorophyll, and doing that for a month or 2, you will see that it's so healing to the tissue. And even people that have like issues with breathing, like my mom has asthma, the lining of the intestines and the lining of the lungs are connected. So if there's a lot of toxins and inflammation in the intestines, it will move up into the lungs. So my mom takes this and it really helps her asthma as well. She takes it on and off, but you want to mix it in water, and you want to take it about 15 minutes before you eat or in between meals. So those are kind of like my top few anxiety hacks that if you start implementing some of these, and be patient with yourself because our body needs time to heal, you're going to see improvement. So let me go ahead and stop the share. And then actually, let's go to the next one really quick.
Otelia,
Yeah.
excuse me. Yeah, we do have 2 questions that I'm seeing on the chat if you have time to look at them. So one of them was with Jeff. He said, I was told that I was low in folic acid by my physician and encouraged me to take a folic acid supplement. Who is correct?
So it's true. So folic acid supplement. So if you're low in folic acid, you're really low in folate. So, you know, you can try folic acid as a supplement. And if you don't have just this genetic mutation, it might be working just fine for you. But if you see that it makes you anxious, you could switch to a folate, which is a natural form. So the only difference is folic acid is a synthetic B vitamin that comes from a lab, and folate is a natural that comes from food, but they both help. They both have the same goal. But if you are sensitive to synthetics, it might make your anxiety worse. So that's just an important thing to know, that folic acid means synthetic, folate, and a lot of doctors just say folic acid, but if you're getting folate, is the same thing, but it's a better source, because our body is always absorbing better a natural food source than a synthetic source. So that's the difference, but they both help unless your anxiety gets worse. So, you know, I think what's important is to always check in and see, how do we feel even with supplements? Does that make sense? Okay. Next question.
We have a question with Priscilla. Where do you buy the Instamax vitamin?
Anxiety. I call it anxiety tea. Intramax. You know, I bought it first from a company named Global Healing, but they stopped selling it. So if you just search online, there are lots of different, I'm going to stop sharing. There are lots of different websites that sell it. Let me put in the chat how it's spelled, and then you can just search for it. The lab that makes it is called Drucker Labs, but they only sell it in bulk. I have to buy 12 bottles, so I usually just buy one at a time. And if you just search, you'll find different websites. Okay. What other questions do we have?
That was the only question, but I did miss, there was a comment by Caitlin. The wool balls are great. I have super sensitive skin and I always had reactions to dryer sheets. I'm highly allergic to lavender and it's super hard to find any dryer sheets that don't contain lavender. Maybe some suggestions?
So I bought some that don't have anything. Oh, I'm sorry, not dryer sheets. I would switch to just wool balls, which you can use over and over again. They last a long time, and you can find them at Trader Joe's, or you can find them if you just search online, organic wool balls, unscented. They usually come unscented. So that's what I would do. I would buy the wool balls instead of the dryer sheets, because even the natural ones that you're right, a lot of them have lavender. I think at one time I found some unscented ones, but the wool balls are just so much better. And they're really cheap. Any other questions?
No, there's no other questions on the chat, Otilia, but someone did just say, I think getting COVID made my anxiety 10 times worse, but I think eating clean is helping.
Good, good. I see that Laura also sent me a direct message. She's asking is if any kind of genetic mutation should avoid folic acid. I specifically know about this one, the MTHFR. This one specifically, people who have it are sensitive to the folic acid. But there could be other ones, but I'm not aware of other ones at this time. That's the one I've researched the most. So what I would say is, so Laura's asking, should we avoid the folic acid supplement? I would try to buy supplements with folate instead of folic acid and see if that makes you feel better. That's my recommendation. Especially if you don't know that you have that genetic mutation. And not everyone, you know, even with these genetic mutations, not everyone has the same sensitivity. You know, like I have family members who have it and they don't eat as healthy as me and they seem fine, you know. So it kind of depends from person to person, especially like if your personality is to stress and worry more, or if you're more like type A personality, then it might affect you more than other people, because our genes can be dirty or clean. What does a dirty gene mean? A dirty gene means that it's not fully functioning and that gene is being stressed. So we can clean a gene, or we can help a gene be cleaner by doing meditation, by being out in nature, by eating better. So when we have more healthy behaviors, we help the genetics perform better. So even if you have this genetic mutation, it doesn't mean that it's always going to react. It will react more when you're under stress. And that's what I see. So let me see what other. So I got a few direct messages, so I'm going to try to go through them. So I asked people to tell me their triggers, and their biggest difficulties. So Natalie shared difficult trigger with anxiety is that Anxiety gets to me, and it stops my day. And my barrier is my health and making better changes that are sometimes hard to do. Yeah, I can understand, Natalie. Sometimes just, you know, we feel bad day after day, and it's just a downer, right? And then getting the courage and kind of pushing through to make some changes so we can start feeling better can be difficult. So I always recommend start slow. You know, you can start slow. Just improving your eating can make a huge difference, especially for people that have anxiety all the time. Like, you can make small goals, like every time I feel like having something sweet, instead of sugar, instead of something baked or something, you know, like a donut or something naughty, I'm gonna have a fruit. You know, just making simple choices like that. Instead of having soda, I'm gonna have water. Just starting with small goals, you know, being outside in the sun 15 minutes a day, small steps. You know, it's okay to start with small steps. And sometimes just sitting outside, you know, it doesn't take a lot of energy because we'll sit indoors. So just being outside in the sun will make you feel more uplifted. And then I have 2 people that sent me messages. Let's see. Oh, I am the one with 707. Thank you. So Priscilla's the one with 707 phone number. Okay, thank you, Priscilla. Laura asked, so you said MTHER? No, I said MTHFR. So I'll put it in here. The genetic mutation is MTHFR. And it can be a blood test or a saliva test that you can order yourself. My biggest, so Caitlin said her biggest trigger for anxiety is loud noises and busy rooms. Oh, wow. Okay. That can happen easily. If there are too many people in a room, I can get triggered. I also get triggered when I'm trying to get something done, but can't because I get pulled away from what I'm trying to do. My biggest challenge with anxieties is attempting to achieve my goals. If I get overwhelmed, I can just shut down and not get what I need to get done. Yeah, so let me tell you, the most important suggestion I have for this issue, because I know a lot of people who've had this issue, and I've dealt with some of this myself. Having magnesium on a regular basis, especially the magnesium threonate, it's that feeling irritated over like small things, especially the loud noises. I mean, that is irritating to everybody, but but I'll say that having the magnesium on a regular basis really helps. And then trying some of the herbs and other supplements like the anxiety tea or the anxiety tea that I mentioned, that might be helpful. Let me see if I can put that in the chat because oops, not right. Okay. Let me just find it really quick because I just looked it up on Amazon. Okay, here we go. I found it. So I'll put it in the chat because there we go. I have a link to Amazon, so that's where I found it. The other thing, Caitlin, that's really helpful when you shut down is doing the tapping or the breathing. The tapping is really, really good to kind of get you out of a situation where you feel stuck. So, you know, you can start tapping and you can say, you know, you can start with karate chop. Even though I'm feeling overwhelmed or shut down, I deeply and completely accept myself. You know, you say that 3 times here in the karate chop, and then you go and you say, this feeling of feeling stuck, this feeling of overwhelm, this feeling, and you can say other statements like, you can just voice out your frustration. I'm so frustrated with this, with feeling stuck, or I'm so frustrated with feeling overwhelmed. I choose to let it go. I choose to let it go. So going through the tapping points for that specific issue is really helpful. Laura said, my trigger is stress and just thinking of something unpleasant. Yeah, so I would strongly suggest breathing on a regular basis. The breathing helps amazingly well if you do it consistently. And then thinking of something unpleasant, again, doing tapping. I see that the mutation I wrote to just one person, MTHFR, so I'll put it for everybody. That's the mutation, MTHFR. So I have 2 people that wrote me. So Siobhan said that her biggest trigger is not being patient, and a lot of anxiety and panic attacks related to work and job performance. So she says that she uses breathing techniques to center herself and her surroundings. So that's really good, Siobhan. So other things I would really suggest is positive affirmations. I've had this situation many times where either at work or in my personal life, I've had challenging personalities to deal with. So I would write out statements, just like we learned in the last session. I would write a few statements that you say daily, especially before you go to work. Like you could say, today, my day will be pleasant at work. I will be able to get my job done with ease. The people I will interact with will be kind and respectful. You know, you can make like specific statements related to your issue and say them on a regular basis. Especially, I would say minimum of 2 weeks, you know, say them on a regular basis. I've had situations like that where I just put out the positive. Sometimes I would just think of that person that was being rude to me, and I would just kind of send them love. I would think of them as a little child, because everybody's cute and adorable when they're little, right? So I would think of them as a small child, and I would just send them like love and good thoughts, because sometimes people that are not very nice are just insecure, or maybe they're hurting inside, right? So just sending them good thoughts. And amazingly, what has happened in many of those situations, either they moved, they got transferred to another department, they retired, they moved, or they shifted where they weren't rude to me again, you know, anymore. So give that a try, because it's really helped me. The other person was Joy, who wrote me, and she said that she has some different challenging conditions that inhibit her to be able to eat food, for food intake. And but she said that she loves the class, and she's limited on what things she can do and for how long. So Joy, for you, I would encourage you that you do, since the food is something that you're more limited with, that you really use the tapping, some of the breathing, being outside, positive affirmations if you can, but start with just short, you know, it's okay to just do like one affirmation. something you're grateful for in the morning, or something good that you want to happen that day. Start slow. But she says that she loves the class and she's sharing what she's learning with her family, and she wishes that she knew these things when she was younger. Don't we all, right? Well, I guess it's never too late. So the fact that we're learning now and we're applying this information, it's little by little is going to help. So let's just finish up the other items I have on the slides. But if anyone else has triggers, so I included, so if anyone else has triggers, put them in the chat, or challenges that we want to troubleshoot. I created this delicious recipe. So, you know, like I said, I really try to avoid sugar, but once in a while I treat myself. My husband has a sweet tooth. So instead of him going to a bakery, you know, I make him healthy treats. So I made these, this banana bread recipe with chocolate, because he likes everything with chocolate. So, and I do too. I love chocolate. So it's gluten-free, but it tastes so delicious, because a lot of people think, especially my kids, they think that if it's gluten-free and organic, it's got to taste bad. So it's very similar to a banana bread recipe, but I added cacao and dark chocolate in it, and coconut oil and coconut flour. So it's very delicious. I also included it in the email that I sent you at about 11:30. I sent out an email with the PowerPoint, and if you scroll down, the recipes in the email. So it's easy to make, and it's so, so delicious. Whenever I have a party, I make them. If someone asks me to make a dessert, I'll take them a dessert. You can also make them flat like a brownie and cut them in squares. And for children, I've made them for birthday parties without the nuts. And then I make, instead of frosting, I make homemade whipped cream with just a little bit of honey, and the kids love it as well. So I hope that you can give that a try. Let me see, there's a, yeah, Arnie, I brought them in the office. I also shared them with Sophia. I hope you guys, I know you guys liked them. Arnie wants me to bring them again. I will. Yes, they're very, very delicious. So let's go to the next slide. We already talked about the triggers. So I included here for you guys 4 books. You know, I always love to learn, and I encourage everyone, if you're suffering from different health issues and you want to learn more about healing your body, these are 4 amazing books. And I have 3 of them here, which I can show you. But the first one, Heal Your Body, Cure Your Mind. It's a very powerful book that talks a lot about the connection between the digestive system and the brain, and how to helpful tips on different therapies, diet, nutrition and food, things like that. And then Prescription for Nutritional Healing. This is a book, it's really big and thick. It's like this. But I love this book, and a lot of the holistic practitioners that I've seen over the years, before I learned natural medicine, they always had this book, and they would go to the section that I needed and they would make copies for me. And it's pretty much like a reference guide, A to Z, on nutritional healing. With, you're going to learn about minerals and vitamins and food and other therapies. Like, they will recommend what kind of exercise you can do physically, and maybe stress relieving things. It has just amazing information. It's kind of like my go-to for any major issues, that even when my kids were sick, I would go to this book and look up, you know, what I should do for this, what I should do for that. The other one is earthing. So I already talked to you about earthing. This book was written by a cardiologist here in the Bay Area called Stephen Sinatra, and together with two other people, and it's a wonderful book. One of the pictures it shows in here, it's really, really encouraging. It has a picture of a diabetic with the head wounds that were not healing, and they used earthing for 2 weeks, for 30 minutes a day. And it has pictures of how the wound, it's probably hard to see, but on page 85, if you get the book, it has pictures how the wound closed in 2 weeks by using, they used these sticky pads that have a wire with earthing that gets plugged into the plug. They use those. So after 2 weeks, it shows a picture how beautifully the wound closed, and it will give you so much research behind it, so you really understand how beneficial it is. And then the last book is Dirty Genes. So I talked a little bit about genetics. This book by Dr. Ben Lynch is really, really also helpful. It helps you figure out if you have some of the different genetic mutations, and it has like self-assessment little surveys. Even if you don't know for sure if you have it, it gives you these self-assessment surveys, and then it gives you tips on how to clean your genes. You know, like I said, going for being in nature, eating clean, but he will talk a lot about the folic acid, the MTHFR, and different genetic mutations that affect the brain and different conditions. So it's really like a how-to, very, very practical book. So I hope you really consider getting those. The last slide here, oops, what did I do? Okay. I want to encourage all of you to keep learning and, you know, consider getting some of those books. I'm going to do the raffle for the winners tomorrow, and the 4 winners will hear from me by email. So if you don't hear from me about the raffle, that means that you didn't win. So I apologize, but the winners, the 4 winners, I will draw the names tomorrow and I will email you, and it will be a $40 gift card to Target. I will also email you an evaluation form. And it has some questions related to how you like the class, how we can improve it, and so on. So I really appreciate you filling this out, because last time when we did the class, the people that filled out the evaluation last time gave me so many comments, good suggestions, that I improved the session for this time. So I really appreciate to hear from you what you liked about it, what we can do better, how the class has helped you. So that will come probably later this afternoon. I will follow up with an email, and I really appreciate you filling it out. And even for people that are watching the recording, I would like you to fill it out too, because it's also helpful to get your comments. I also encourage you to go to our health education page that's listed here. If you go to cchealth.org, you go to the health plan, and then you go to for members section, and then health ed, or you just click this link here in and maybe Sophia, if you can put the link in the chat, the health education page. We put there, we have a lot of different information that you can use, videos, links with nutrition, recipes, all kinds of good information. And then I also encourage people, I included here the behavioral health access line. If you feel like you need therapy and to meet with the therapist, don't be shy, give them a call. It's 1-877-678-7277. they can be very helpful. Let me go to the chat now. So we can stay a few more minutes to answer more questions. Oh, thank you, Sophia, for the health ed page. Janet said that the class was so helpful and educational. Thank you, Janet. I'm so glad that you're here. I'm just so grateful for all of you. And I just want to thank Sophia and Arnie also for helping with this. And Arnie's been preparing all the surveys and links, and he's going to upload the recordings of Tuesday's class and today's class tonight by 6 o'clock. So just want to thank everyone for participating. And I just really want to commend all of you for trying something new. I know this is not the usual type of information you hear from health plans. And I'm kind of in a unique situation because I have a lot of experience working in health education and project management for health plans, but I also have this other side of my life in natural medicine and another career, and I teach for a university and I have a practice. So this is kind of a passion for me that I do. And when they asked me to teach this class, I was just so excited because I just want to help as many people as we can. Arnie, did you have a question?
Yes, I do. I actually have the link ready for the survey, so I can post that in the chat right now.
Perfect. Yeah, if you can post it in chat, that'd be great. And then I'll also send it out in an email. Natalie said that she'll be trying these for sure. So glad to hear that. So many people just sending their appreciation. And I'm just so glad, Jeff, worth the time, excited to receive the resources. Thank you, Jeff. So good to see you in here. I know we go way back, so I'm so glad to see Jeff here. So thanks again, everybody. Go back and listen to the recordings. I know I covered kind of a lot of information, and I think sometimes I tend to offer more than not enough. So you don't have to apply everything, but at least start making small steps. Take something that really resonated with you and try it and be consistent. And that's what I noticed with healing my anxiety. I learned to be consistent. You know, I learned to be in nature regularly, even if it rains. I'm out there with my umbrella walking, you know, and I love the rain too, because it gives us some variety, right? And it waters our plants. And I mean, people at my office knows if we have a potluck, I really do my best to bring something healthy. And also to educate my friends and my coworkers that we can make things taste delicious and they can be healthy, right? Like the banana bread recipe with chocolate. So I really encourage you to just make small steps and be consistent. And then I just want to remind all of you again that all the 4 classes are going to be available on YouTube, and I'm going to send the link for the last 2. And I will send probably another email with all 4 links, just so you have them all in one place. So thank you again. It's been such a pleasure. I look forward to getting all your comments and feedback. And Arnie put in here the survey monkey link. So if you are looking for that. Laura was asking expresswater.com for the water filter. Let me look really quick. I believe it's expresswater.com, but let me just double check. Okay. Express Water. Yeah, it's expresswater.com. Yep, that's the website. And let me just, and you can look there at the different systems they have, but first you have to go to the reverse osmosis systems. So reverse osmosis is one of the best kind of filters out there. but they have different packages. So you can just buy a basic reverse osmosis, or you can get the one that has the UV and the alkaline system. So I have the one that has both the alkaline and UV. I'll put a link to that. And then I believe they have some that are just on the counter. This one that I have is under the counter, but you can look at the ones that are, if you cannot put it under the counter, they have the option to put it on the counter. So I'll put a link to the one I have. There we go. Okay, everyone, thank you again. And again, if you forgot to put your questions in, or somehow we missed your question, feel free to email me. I'm happy to answer you. Okay, I hope I saw all the comments and we answered everybody's question. So again, thank you. It's been such a pleasure to spend time with all of you and helping you with your to improving your lifestyle. And even, if you keep practicing these and you just see that you keep getting better and better, even down the line in a month or two, drop me an email and let me know how you're doing, because I always think of all the wonderful people that participate in our classes, and I wonder how they're doing, because we put a lot of effort. This really took a lot of work and a lot of research to put all this together for you. And, I just hope that it's been helpful, and I hope you get to use it and you get to practice it and share it with your family and friends. Okay, everyone, thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of the day. And it's been my pleasure to do this class for you. Bye-bye.